Hey guys, Andrea, welcome back to the channel. So guys, I've been talking a lot over on the blog and done some videos on restrictive practices, but there's also a crossover, and I've talked about it and touched on it briefly, and it's consent with a disability. So we are all having a conversation post Me Too about consent. We're also seeing in the media that on film sets and TV productions, there's intimacy coordinators that protect not only the actors but the crew from misconduct on sets. And that is a great development. But given that 10% of any community is going to be disabled, and disability doesn't discriminate, whether that be a hidden disability or a physical disability, 10% of our population. And something that we forget when we're using restrictive practices is consent. And so, as we know, consent comes in many forms, and we all go to relationships, particularly intimate relationships, with consent. Very, very important to have consent and open lines of communication in those relationships. But there's some other forms of consent. So if you're a person with a disability who needs help with activities of daily living, so you're dressing, you're eating, you're drinking, you're bathing, you need to be able to consent to that. And so the right to say, no, I don't want to have a shower today, is really important, and that gives choice and control. Yeah, you might be a bit stinky for that day, but we've all had days where we've skipped a shower or a bath or chose to have a duck wash instead. Being able to consent to a restrictive practice, and these are a really tricky one. I've put a very researched blog post up today, but there is different forms of consent, and consent in disability goes into another factor that deserves its whole own video, and that is infantilization with a disability. I am blessed that I have been pushed, and I have people in my life who push me as well to be the best version of myself I can be. But when you're constantly being held back, it gets very demoralizing as well. Every decision being made for you, you're going to regress. And so that's where having that choice and control really does come in. And that might be as simple as what you watch on TV, whether you have supper, what time you go to bed. So guys, it's a really interesting topic to delve into, and even consent of working with a support worker. If you are just not a great fit for that support worker, but they're a brilliant support worker, there might be too much of an age gap. You might not be in the same things. They might have a different set of values to you. That's okay. But being able to ask for a different support worker. But I'm also going to say that in working with a support worker, even if there is that personality clash, especially if you're in supported housing, respect is mandatory. Not everyone's going to like you, and that's a fact of life, but you need to respect them. They aren't there to be abused. And that's the other thing. Support workers don't consent to coming to work to be abused, overworked, to be spat at, to be attacked. These are all things that can happen to a support worker on a shift, especially if a person has behaviours of concern. And so guys, let's continue talking about consent and the disability. The infantilization can extend to having control over who they see in a day, being able to have an intimate relationship. For some females, it might be being put on birth control without understanding the risks and the benefits as well. And these are all conversations that are difficult and challenging to have, but we do need to have them. So guys, if you can like, share, subscribe, come on, a lot of you guys haven't subscribed. It really does help the channel to be seen, and I'll see you guys in the next video.